Yes, welcome back, Looney listeners. This is episode 84 of Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. I am one of your High Preist Connor and Rey, and tonight in this episode, we'll be wrapping up the Warren Ellis and Declan Shalvey run, released circa 2014-15. So we're looking at issue 6, and with me, as always, is our intrepid High Preist Connor as well. Connorshoe, how are you?
Hello, I am doing mighty fine on this muggy Sunday.
Oh, it's a bit humid up there.
Oh, well, actually, it's been really nice, but now all of a sudden it's terrible. So yeah, you know.
Oh man, that's bad. Yeah, it's been pretty hot down here. I mean, like loonies. Of course, both of us are situated in Egypt, so you know, understandably it is hot and humid. In the Khonshu temple, but yeah, it's been okay. I think it's going to be dropping at night though here, so just a weather report, just for anyone who cares to.
This is why you listen, I'm guessing.
Look, as we say, loonies, we're here to look at the last part of Warren Ellis. But before we get into that, of course, just a little bit of chat, see what's been happening in both our corners of the universe. Connorshoe, this past week, anything exciting of note? Did you catch any films or?
No, I keep meaning to. I got the weeks ahead of me now. I left my current job, currently looking for another one, so I'll have plenty of time to crack into something good. A bunch of films there, a few weeks of comics.
Mm-hmm. Is it a relief, or how do you feel? Is it a bit scary?
Yeah, I mean, not having money is not great, but not working at a meatworks is also, you know.
Yeah. Are you a vegetarian or anything? Or?
Nah.
No. Okay. I was about to say, like, there must be some conflict of interest there if you if you were.
I know a few vegans who are there actually.
Oh, really?
Funnily enough.
How do they respond to what they're doing?
Just a job, I guess. Have to.
Yeah, got to put butter on the bread, I guess. Yeah.
Well, not butter per se. Animal product there, Ray. Come on.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Well, that's a big thing. So, actively looking, that will keep you busy, but hopefully giving you some time still to catch up on your weekly pulls. I know on our Looney Bin chat, I think it was Midkind, one of our trusted loonies, he was talking about Daredevil 1 that came out. You read that?
Oh, yeah, I've read a few things this week. One of them was the fantastic Daredevil, Chip Zdarsky, just cracking it again. He's smashed out probably my favourite Spider-Man run of the last few years.
Yeah.
Cracked into the great first issue of Invaders, and now he's got already start of a great Daredevil run. It's gonna be wild, man. He's grown so much as a creator.
Yeah, and I have totally put my foot in my mouth. I think a couple of episodes ago I mentioned how I was just more familiar with Chip Zdarsky doing humour and funny stories, and I wasn't too sure whether he could do a straight series story. But I only recently I recently read The Invaders, and man, that was good. My God.
Yeah, I think it was really, I think, post the first 6 issues of Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man and the start of Marvel 2-in-1 with The Thing and Human Torch, who really spread his wings and just showed that, you know, he can write anything. You know, Sex Criminals, Howard the Duck, and now all these runs, you know.
Wow.
You know, the sky's the limit, and I think Marvel's got trust in him now to just knock it out of the park.
Yeah, and he's handled Daredevil well. Is it?
I think it's. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, thematically, I think it does very well to pull in new readers, especially those from the Netflix show. You know, Zdarsky's keeping this very street level. Yeah. So, you know, it does feel reminiscent of Season 3, but also kickstarts so many cool new ideas. And it's got Chichetto on it, who did a few loonies would probably know him from his fantastic Punisher run.
Mm-hmm.
And a few other great stuff.
Yeah, Old Man Hawkeye, which I picked up. That finished just recently. Nice. Really good art. I mean, it reminds me... I don't want to, water it down or anything. But to me, it reminds me of like real animation. Like almost, I don't know, manga. I don't know if you picked that up. I just get the sense of the way he draws. It's very, very much like that. And I mean that in the best possible way. But had you... collected, what was he mentioning? He said he did the Punisher, did he? Or
Oh yeah, I can't believe. Oh yeah, if you're a Punch fan, you ought to read that bit of genius he did on that. You know, it feels that look feels kind of carried over into this Daredevil run. So
okay, excellent. And just carrying on the theme with street level, because I guess obviously Moon Knight is of the ilk. Punisher. I've been reading. I'm still catching up with my pulls and. So slowly getting there. I'm still only about maybe a couple of weeks behind now, but I read the second to most recent Punisher issue by Matt Rosenberg. I must say, I'm quite impressed with his Punisher at the moment. I didn't read the one with the iron, the iron or the War Machine armor, but this new run, which was kind of renumbered and it's got the Greg Smallwood covers, really good actually. I'm not sure if you're collecting that as well, Connor.
I kind of dip in and out. I actually love how Rosenberg writes him interacting with the Marvel Universe. I think that was that great little run, that little part with Bucky and Black Widow. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a lot of good comics out at the moment. Any are you reading any classic arcs or anything like that of note lately?
No, I'm just starting now. I've got a few things left. I've got Dream Thief lined up, which is Greg Smallwood's work before Moon Knight. So I'm very keen to dive into that. Yeah,
okay.
Got some sale in ComiXology at the moment. Sounds an interesting little buy.
Right.
Yeah.
Dream Thief.
I also tackled there's a few other good comics this week. I just want to give a quick plug to.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Tony Stark Iron Man. I know if Chad's listening, he's cursing my name, but I'm a big Tony Stark fan.
The power of
great
Chad.
Run.
Yes. Yeah.
Wasted Space from Vault Comics, along with These Savage Shores, are just some of the best comics on the market. I think Vault have just proven themselves crazily well. Die from Crone Gillen is also gorgeous with Stephanie Hahn's artwork. They did Journey into Mystery over at Marvel. Some people might remember him from there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then G.I. Joe Sierra Muerta by Michelle Fife, who does Copra. Which, if you haven't read Copra, everyone should read Copra. It is just one of the best action comics around.
No, I haven't. Okay, cool. I mean,
he's an indie creator, but it's his homage to Strander's Suicide Squad.
Okay,
it's just this crazy, off the wall psychedelic action.
Cool. Oh, we're gonna have to include this in the show notes, if anything, just to be like a note for myself to catch up on. But no, that sounds great. Far out. So you have been a busy bee with the reading, and I'm assuming all these are either just recent or kind of
this
older
week.
Runs? Yeah. Okay. I mean, they're like older runs, are they, or are they current runs?
Yeah, no, all of those comics are either all came out this week that I just dropped down.
Okay, right, okay. Cool. Look, I won't even bother going through my list. As I said, I'm a couple of weeks behind, so I've only just got my stuff posted. Stuff posted to me. So I've got look, I've still got to catch up with Avengers. The Iron Fist.
Oh, me
one.
too.
Yeah, 13 with the female.
And the Blade one now too.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. So unfortunately, and a quick shout out to the Sons of the Dragon Iron Fist podcast.
Yep.
I haven't listened to your latest episode only because I don't want to be spoiled. But once I read that, that'll be cool. There's like West Coast Avengers, Punisher, still Amazing Spider-Man. I'm loving the Nick Spencer Amazing Spider-Man. I find it just really enjoyable to read. I'm getting the singles. I might consider either getting it in some sort of collected format. It's really, really fun stuff. And I'm a fan of his from Ant-Man and the Secret Empire stuff.
Superior Foes as well.
Yeah, I haven't read that, but that
crazy.
Yeah, that I've heard the really, really good things about it. So, but apart from all that, there's just a couple of like oldies that I'm reading. I've just finished All Star Superman, which is
big.
Yeah, just doing my bit for trying to become a Superman fan. Just curious about Superman in general. So that was a great run by Grant Morrison. I must say, Frank Quietly art was superb. Really, really good stuff. It capped off really well. So I finished the last. They go by episodes, not chapter. So episode 12 in that collected format, and that was really good. And I've just started again another little shout out from our fellow collective, the Signal of Doom. I am just starting Starman, which is by James Robinson. Right. Yeah, have you read that? And like,
one of the greats.
Wow.
Suffers from not being in print, really, but
yeah.
apart from that, everyone should be reading it, as I'm sure you concur.
I've read just, I think, issue 0, issue 1 so far. But I remember Chris from Defenders TV podcast talking about it when we were chatting about, what he liked to collect. And yeah, I must say it is well worth a read. It really reminds me of, I don't know, like, I guess I'm not experienced with DC, but like Vertigo. Like, it reminds me of something that's just, left of center or, from the usual DC universe and has its own little pocket, which I kind of like, and I guess you can liken that to Moon Knight. So he seems kind of very standalone, but yeah, interested to see how it pans out. So Starman, James Robertson, well worth a read. Loonies will add all of this obviously in our show notes in case you're interested, but a wide variety of comics there. But tonight, of course, we are going to look at our lovable foe, Chappie, I don't know.
Yeah, especially in this delightful, happy issue we're about to cover.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking at Moon Knight, but before we get into that, again, I just wanted to shout out in a bit of white noise, a bit of news. And look, nothing that hasn't been covered from last week because, geez, hats off to Conishu for being on the ball. You're not only were you on the ball, you were in front of the ball, and the ball was a couple of miles behind you. Shouted out the news about Benjamin Percy and Juan Ferreira doing work on Moon Knight in Marvel Comics Presents. But there's also some shining reviews on the Moon Knight fan film, Connor.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. I think it was, we talked about it just as it came out, but over this week, I think a lot of sites have given it the coverage it deserves.
It's getting a lot of good praise. I mean, obviously when you put something out there with, say, comic book fans, you're going to get, either hot and cold responses. And largely, it's been all positive. There've been some great feedback from our loonies when we've posted it up on our group and our page. Obviously, people have different tastes, which is fine. Hopefully, I've been in touch with the filmmaker, Caden Butera, and hopefully we're going to line up an interview with him. In our next Moon and Stars, our next film review. So, actually, one's to come. Sorry, we've got some other stuff lined up, but very soon. He's very amenable to being interviewed, so can't wait for that as well. I don't think, Connor, we have to go through these articles. I mean, there are how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll post them up. You can have a good read. They range from where are they from? Let me just see if I can. Gizmodo, they're from that. Also CBR. Then we have Sci-Fi. So a couple of big sites there, and Screen Rant. So yeah, I mean, far out. They're getting some good exposure. Would you like to see much more of this sort of Moon Knight, Connor?
Yeah, I hope these guys continue, or maybe even, I think that's such a perfect little opener for something more, but also, it's perfectly self-contained itself, so maybe if they even go down the route of the other boys we interview, Alex Lumen, of his own fan film channel, and possibly tackle some other characters as well, Yeah, that's the exciting thing about them, and
yeah.
Do whatever the hell they want.
Exactly, and our mate as well, Alex Lumen, doing great stuff there with Moon Knight and other character fan films. I had a quick word with Caden, and he is a big Moon Knight fan. It's his favourite character, so I guess no surprises. That's the first one that he's tackled, but it's very interesting because he did take a particular angle for Moon Knight in a few respects as well, but as Connor, myself, and Rebecca discussed in our last episode, at least between the three of us, not too fussed at these slight changes, largely because it's a fan film, isn't it? So he's really got free reign to do whatever he wants. He's not bound by anything, and that's the most liberating thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, he's not asked to tone things down or to keep with a particular script. All for it, and I believe he said, he has taken some of the other comments on board, and so exciting to see if he produces another one.
Yeah, and I can't wait to interview him. Hopefully he'll give us a sweet tidbit then. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, with that, I mean, we've only had a bit of a short chat, but how about we cut to a break? We go to one of our fellow collective members, and we'll be right back for our LUNAR-PICK review.
Hi, this is Chris.
And this is Brian.
And we are the hosts of Inner Demons, the Ghost Rider podcast.
And you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and other podcast apps for all your Ghost Rider needs.
Right on.
Hello, welcome back everyone. Yes, after a nice little chat there that we hope you enjoyed, we're ready to tackle another comic, the last of the beloved, critically acclaimed Ellis run, before we continue on Volume 7. We're going to tackle Moon Knight Volume 7, Issue 6, Spectre, which was released in August 2014 from writer Warren Ellis, artist Declan Shalvey, colorist Jordie Bellaire, letterer Chris Eliopoulos, and editors Ellie Pyle, and the always present Nick Lowe. Smashing, yeah. And you'll be happy to know, Loonies, as well as for first time or new listeners who are kind of keen to know more about Moon Knight. This issue is available, readily available on the likes of Comixology and Kindle as a digital format. It's available on Marvel Unlimited if you've got that subscription. It's well worth a subscription. So, consider that they've got 50,000, I don't know, thousands and thousands of comics that you can plunder. It's still available in single format, of course. You can check out your LCS or order it online. I'm sure it's available somewhere. And it's available as a trade paperback, both as digital and in a hard copy version. So, From the Dead, it was the first trade paperback of the Volume 7 run. So, again, leaning towards any new listeners out there, what Conishu and I usually do is, for our LUNAR-PICK, is we'll go through with a very short, I guess, a synopsis that kind of summarizes this issue. And then it's followed by just a discussion about what we liked, what we thought worked, what didn't, any references or ties to the rest of the universe, stuff like that. And it is capped off with our patented moon rating, using all the phases of the moon. So every single... I actually got a moon app on my phone now. That's how... Oh, wow.
That's how geeky I've become. Trying to keep on track the phases of the moon.
You truly do heed Conchu's word.
Above
and beyond for...
I'm scared. I'm scared of him. He will smite me, and he has smoten others.
Smitten.
Anyway, so we capped that off with our moon rating, 0 to 10. Look, you'll catch our drift when we get there. So, the Sliver Conishu. I don't know, whose go is it? Do you want to give it a go? Should we do it? Should we do it? Yeah? Do you want to? Yeah? I was about to say, should we do a coin flip? But, by all means, give it a go.
All right. Well, this issue follows on from a detective, street officer we saw in the first issue, where Mooney dealt with that weapons tech guy, and it's basically this guy who's been kicked down his whole life, finally deciding to kick Moon Knight back and become the new Black Spectre. And what we see is Moon Knight taking him down, and we see deeper into the psyche of both of them.
Yeah, that's a pretty damn good sliver. That's pretty good. So anyway, I trust those loonies who have been long-time listeners will have read their issue. We do have some feedback afterwards. Okay, let's kick us off. Connor, what did you first enjoy? What was your first impression of this issue?
Well, I think, Moon Knight issue 5 is probably the most beloved issue of this run, but I think this one tops it as my personal favorite of this run. I think, there's just so much to like about this, very dreary, very dark issue, but it just goes so deep into the psyche, and Declan Shalvey just flexing with Jordie Bellaire flexing so much with the art in this issue. Especially Bellaire.
Yeah, I mean, apart from, compared to, say, issue 5 and some of the others, there's not really that much Moon Knight in this, which is a very interesting take, I think. A very strong story, I found. I really loved delving into, what's the gentleman? Trent. What's his first name? Ryan Trent, this guy. So much of the issue is just taken up with I guess, how he comes to be the person he is when we see him in the present. But again, wow, Bellaire and Shalvey's art is just really something, isn't it? There's a lot more, I think, with art, a lot more shading, which seems to. I'm looking. What page am I looking at? Even the second or third page in, I noticed a lot of the shading has got that particular effect. Not I don't know what you call it, charcoal effect, or it's not as clean a shadow as typical. Did you pick that up at all?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you're definitely right at being a much rougher issue. I think even it just goes rougher and rougher as this guy seems to break down even more, and that black is a big motif of this issue.
Yeah, it certainly is, and a lot of the shading is as well. I mean, I'm just flicking through quickly. He does look more and more maniacal. There's even one bit where his eyes are just black, literally, just the whites, and his pupils are all black, giving him a really evil look. And it really is a bit of a spiral into madness for this guy. He becomes obsessed. He does a lot of work to get himself prepared to face Moon Knight. But actually, I like this spin. How he's not Carson Knowles, he's not the Black Spectre for Moon Knight, but he wants to claim the mantle because he actually wants to become Moon Knight, which is a bit of a strange jump, right? Because he despised Moon Knight right at the beginning. So in a twisted way, he kind of wants to become him at the end. I guess maybe to prove that he can be a better Moon Knight, I think. Yeah,
well, the big drawing part of this issue is that this guy, Trent, has just been kicked down his entire life. And, this is the straw that broke the camel back when he's told that, he'll never amount to anything once again. And, and that any reputation he could have, he believes, is failing because of Moon Knight, because Moon Knight gets away with being a man in a mask.
Yeah.
So it's just him, just slowly breaking down to get as much as he can on Moon Knight, to try and find some purpose in life, some redemption for himself that, even his wife can't agree with, but he just keeps, breaking down, trying to justify until it consumes him and he becomes a vicious murderer.
He certainly does get vicious towards the end. I mean, you can kind of sympathise for him, even like in the first couple of pages, and even our beloved characters like Detective Flint is not innocent as well. He slags off Trent at the very bottom of the first page, and as you said, Connor, it's a straw that broke his back, because immediately after that you get a very quick kind of rundown of him growing up. Really, really nicely done, I think, with Declan Shalvey's 8 panels, various different haircuts and age of Ryan Trent as he grows up, but and he almost has a disinterested wife as well. I mean, so a lot of these subtleties are just brought up by Declan Shalvey's art. I mean, you have Trent talking to her while they're in the living room. She is not engaging with him. She's got the remote control. She doesn't respond to what he's saying. So even that, says 1,000 words about his relationship. Everything seems to be going against him.
This is like classic, criminal psychology 101. Ellis is pulling upon.
Yeah, and it paints a really cool picture of this guy, Ryan Trent. So how did you feel towards the end, kind of when he inevitably meets up with Mr. Knight?
Well, yeah, there's two things. I think I always love a story like this where Moon Knight is more of a presence and we see the world around him. You know, some like, you know, a lot of stories I grew up really loving, like, you know, Boogie Pop Phantom and a bunch of other cool comics like this. Like Moon Knight is such a powerful force, you know, on the street level, and it's obvious that we zoom out to see the perspective around him. But yeah, I just love the way Moon Knight's portrayed in this because, and you know how it relates to Trent, because I think we've definitely seen similar things before. You know, my mind immediately jumps back to the start of the Houston run. You know, that opening 6 issues that we see just Mark's decaying psychology within himself. Yes. Mm-hmm. You know, that's when we really see the flaws within Moon Knight. And this is also trying to show the flaws within Moon Knight, but I think the way it grounds itself with alongside, you know, Knowles, actually I think is a far more effective way of showing, you know, both the weakness and strengths of Moon Knight and the image he, you know, perforates and all this, and, you know, the type of character he really is, and showing damaged mental state through both someone else and through himself. I don't know. I just think it's absolutely brilliant, and it's why I love this issue, and it just sticks out to me so much when it's like, what are the flaws in Moon Knight? It's just all here. Yeah. And this other character is such a perfect way to ground it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's I hadn't read this issue for a while. I mean, admittedly, out of all the 6 issues, this would probably be, I don't know, probably there with maybe issue 3 or 2. That was the least read, I think, out of the 6. But it is very solid, and I immediately appreciated it. It's got a lot more. If you also look at the previous Warren Ellis stories, like issues 1 to 5, there was a very quick pace to it as well. I think he ever so slightly takes puts on the brakes a little, and he needs to in order to flesh out Ryan Trent. So there's a lot more dialogue spoken here as well. But like you mentioned last week, back in the 80s with that classic run, it's nothing like that. I mean, the dialogue here serves a purpose as well as the visuals. So there's a lot of meat that Warren Ellis is putting in here, and a lot of it is invested in Ryan Trent, who ends up being quite a proficient. Well, it's funny because he spends a lot of time working up to meeting Moon Knight, and he spirals further and further down. I found a little tragic at the end that it was a bit of a inept handling of bombs that kind of was his undoing, really. He kind of goes toe-to-toe with Mr. Knight. He manages to get a dart into him as well.
Yeah, he even tries to, he talks himself off that Mark Spectre was just a mercenary. You know, he's been in the Force for ages. And, you got to even wonder whether, how much, Moon Knight really prepares for this as well. And you can just see them properly battle off.
Yeah, look, again, maybe there's something that you can elucidate to the listeners as well, Connor. Maybe I've missed something here. So, towards the end, when he is waiting, he's got 3 bombs rigged up, with the cars on either side. You can see it as Moon Knight's limousine comes driving down the road. He's got 3 cars set to blow. That third one that doesn't go, that is just purely coincidence, right? That wasn't due to any fact. I mean, so literally, I guess what I'm saying is that his plan could have really come to fruition if that third car blew, right? Because it's the third car that blows in front of him or behind him that actually neutralizes him, so to speak.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't know whether that was just... It does seem to be a part of his malfunction, but I also don't know whether Mr. Knight prepared for this. I think it's left... Maybe, I think it's left possibly vague, but it could just be, the proof that shit goes wrong. And
I mean, because... Yeah, if you look at the 3 mobile phones that he has, the third one has a cracked screen. So I couldn't recall whether we were referenced a a mobile phone somewhere else. I don't know why the third one was cracked. Maybe that was just for us to kind of rationalise that it didn't go off compared to the other two. But it's a pretty critical moment because if that third one goes off, then by all rights, at least Moon Knight, Mr. Knight, even if he does survive it, at least there's not that third car that eventually incapacitates Black Spectre. So I don't know. I'm picking in little holes here, Connor. There's a bit of a suspension of disbelief, of course. You've got to, and so Warren Ellis has very economically shown that by, I guess, showing a cracked screen and saying, well, this is why it didn't work, because he unfortunately didn't pay attention to his equipment, and that's why the third one didn't blow up. But maybe if we can just spend a little time here, Connor, as well, the art towards the end with the explosions and the shrapnel and the glass from the cars, absolutely brilliant from both Shalvey and Bellaire.
I think there's a crazy amount of detail with the fire and explosions, but these pages just ring so true with the way that Shalvey works with Bellaire, leaving ample space for these big black borders.
Yes, yeah.
And just the way the fire here, just works with the distinct black and the distinct white, and then the shadows and just the stage of this fire. It's just nothing like it. It's just gorgeous beyond belief.
It is, and I believe it was set up as well so the fire and all that is so striking in the last 3 or 4 pages, because much of the issue with Bellaire, she's obviously toned things down, kept things in the darkness. Everything's a bit more neutral coloured, like your blue-greys, your greys. Everything, a lot of shadow, a lot of shades. So everything's kind of muted. And I believe it's until you get to that explosion and the stark use of the white and the yellows and the oranges, it really does punch out for the issue. And it's really good effect. And of course, we've seen it before with Shalvey's art. He loves adding that kind of micro detail with the glass shattering. It has a really good effect, doesn't it? It's really creates something quite visceral. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'll let you finish this point before I go on.
Oh no, that was it.
I'll just actually go back a bit more as well. This issue dealing, so much with Psyche. There's a brilliant use, that scratchiness you're talking about. There's a real great progression. So we see it so vividly in the first page, as it shows this guy dealing with it. But then it suddenly becomes very clean again. Mm-hmm. See him, as he first starts investigating. These are, that scratchiness isn't really as apparent. It's kind of colored as well. And, as he slowly sinks down even to the way they draw the shadow of his beard, and then he speaks to Marlene and Frenchie, and then it cuts back to his wife, and all of a sudden that scratchiness is returned and the shadow seep in, and it's just such a great way of visually showing the degradation of this man's psyche and the world around him, before then moving to the dark of the streets, and then the massive, action-packed black, white, red fire scene.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And just following on that point as well, Connor, so we do see a couple of Moon Knight's supporting cast in Marlene and Frenchie. What did you think of their role in this issue?
Oh, yeah, I think it's great. Like that comparison to Houston I brought up before. He used Marlene and Frenchie in a similar way, and this works just as well. It's such a good look from them when they're living their lives, and Moon Knight's just a memory of, another time, and that they talk about him in the past. It just seems to rectify that without the Moon Knight is really just, this lost, violent lamb, hidden in the shadows and really hurting himself without him.
Yeah. I like the direct continuation from the Houston run here, like Frenchie's response to Trent as he masquerades as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent is really just dismissive of Moon Knight, isn't it? And similar with Marlene as well, but she has more of a, I guess I don't know. For her, it just seems, I don't know, maybe the way it's drawn and the look in her eyes and stuff and her body language, it's a bit more resignation about accepting the fact that the man that she thought she loved and thought that came back from the dead was not the man at all, in the man that is Moon Knight now. And she seems a little sadder at it. Frenchie, though, I don't know, has an air of aloofness to him, and just like, oh, I've had enough of this shit, about Mark. And it's good to see him in his restaurant, which was introduced, I believe, in the Houston run as well. So good use there, and again showing that Warren Ellis has done his homework.
Oh yeah, it's just
yeah,
just such love for the character and a whole new direction as well.
Yeah, for sure, and that also kind of, well, when I say homework as well, I guess it's his own work that he kind of references. I love how Warren Ellis references, you get little bits of at least issue 1, issue 3, issue 4. Yeah. You get references of them all throughout here, which is a good way to tie up their 6-issue run, I thought. So obviously, as you mentioned, Connor, at the very beginning, there's reference to the underground bunker where the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, who he steals the ID card, who we remember from issue 1 was that kind of deformed, crazed, cyborg of a man. He was murdering people. So there's a tie into that.
We see ghost punks on the newspaper.
Yeah, exactly. Ghost punk. I was drawn to that straight away. I remember, issue 3, that's awesome. Also, issue 4, which was remember the mushroom, the weird hallucinogenic stuff? I took that, if you go to, there's an almost silent page where Trent goes to, it says like a laundromat, and then he goes to a crime scene, and there's that hole in the floor. Have you got that page there, Connor?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the room, if I'm not mistaken, where Mr. Knight uncovered the corpse under the floorboards. That was releasing that was releasing the spores, the things that were making people go crazy, and that's where he kind of slept. So there's a little bit of a nod there as well. So you get a few. I'm assuming there's issues 2 and 5 referenced somewhere, but I'll probably have to look further. Maybe not. Maybe Warren Ellis has just picked those ones. But I like how Warren Ellis references his own work, which is a good way to cap off this run.
Oh yeah, and what a good run! One nice trade,
Yeah. Oh yeah, very good. Yeah, that first trade is really good. I don't mind the Colin Bunn and the Brian Wood ones as well.
I'm very keen to tackle them again with you. These ones are definitely the ones I reread the most, and I think it'll be good to give them the proper time to shine. And talking with you and guests, I think maybe it'll give me a whole new perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, there's absolutely
hard not to love Smallwood.
Smallwood stuff There's a lot to unravel in that second arc, and the third one with Bund, I feel that he, I don't know, I hate to say he's trying to emulate Warren Ellis, but I feel that he was trying to do something of that, like each issue was a standalone. But it was still I found it very effective, very good indeed. Look, just before there are any final comments, another thing I wanted to just talk about, well, two things. Trent's kind of descent into madness, but also, actually, I think that's probably it. I wanted to talk about how he disposes of his wife, Connor. I found that quite shocking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The real final nail in the coffin that this guy's just gone.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it shows how far gone he is, because she has done nothing really to him. Like, if anything, she is the only companion, the only friend that he has in his whole world. But he does say, there's another thing too. Moon Knight works alone, no ties. He's technically dead. And so he just kills her which is, I thought, very callous indeed. That was so to me, that was a bit of a shocking moment. And then obviously towards the end, he's gone gangbusters here. So he's killed a guy in a car, obviously a black dart to the head, and he's taken 2 people hostage by I guess positioning himself to the best vantage point to watch the fireworks, so to speak. But he's pretty ruthless in it. So also I guess kind of any thoughts on the ending, because it is quite abrupt. Like, what happens to him?
Ooh, yeah. Let me just flick through. I think almost doesn't matter. Does it live? Does it not?
It doesn't. No, but it's
that's.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it's typical Warren Ellis, isn't it? It's just such an abrupt ending, and each of his issues seem to be quite abrupt. Well, most of them did.
And I think it really that complete disregard to this person through Moon Knight is supposed to reflect on us as we see, that callousness of Mr. Knight. Like, it doesn't matter what happens to him, because at this point Moon Knight just doesn't care. He's made his point that those final words will forever, live on with us as readers, and Trent is just another beat up villain in the streets.
I mean, going back to I really wonder how the fight would have panned out if that third car hadn't blown up, because Trent, I think for all intents, was kind of winning. He blew up the limousine, and he blew up the moon glider.
It would have been a proper scrap.
Yeah, and he got a shot into Moon Knight. He was about to throw one of his darts, and he managed to get a dart, like a black dart, into Moon Knight. So, and he had a gun trained on him. So, it would have been very interesting. I guess that's it with Mr. Knight. He's got someone up above looking after him, i.e. Khonshu, and that's why he's the avatar of vengeance, and that's why I guess Trent never could be. And it is a little sad, because again it shows yet another failure for Ryan Trent, someone who's been kind of beaten down all throughout his life, which is it's a little sad. But anyway, not when he starts killing people. No mercy there. So I don't know. Anything else of note here, Connor, that you'd like to raise?
No, I think that kind of covers it nicely.
Mm-hmm. One little thing for me. I couldn't help but think of Charlie Cox when I saw Trent as the FBI agent. I don't know if you got that as well. The glasses, the suit and tie, the 5 o'clock shadow. I just kept on saying Charlie Cox, going, why is he so bad? But anyway, I guess having said that, we can go to our moon rating system. So, Khonshu, wow, you let your hand show a little there, saying this is one of your faves. I'll let you kick us off then. What would you give this? Moon Knight Volume 7, Issue 6, the last one, Spectre.
That is the big old blue moon.
Woo!
Could be nothing else.
Wow. Okay. Jeez, that's pretty up there. New listeners, a blue moon, obviously once in a blue moon. It's very rarely used. Look, we've used it a couple of times, but, it is up and above a full moon. So if you were to equate that, Connor would be rating it above 10 out of a 10 in some capacity. So
I only given it once to issue 5, and, I prefer this more than issue 5, so
yeah,
got to give it that love.
My God. Very good, very good. Well, I was going to give it I am going to give it a waxing gibbous. So, again, new listeners and probably current listeners, a reminder, a waxing gibbous would be slightly above a 3/4 moon. So I'm looking at a low end, so maybe a soft 8 out of 10. And by soft, I mean the waxing gibbous could be 8 to 9 out of 10. So yeah, a pretty high score. I really did enjoy it. I think 8's right up there. So I'd be happy to give that. I have given a blue moon to issue 5 before it. It's a hard act to follow, issue 5, I think.
Oh yeah.
But by the same token as well, I don't think you can binge. Well, you can, but I'm thinking like Warren Ellis, since they're all one-shots, there's no real need to binge them. Like, they're also standalone. So you could easily read issue 5, leave it for a while, come back, read issue 6.
Oh, yeah.
And, not have any of that overshadowing for issue 6. So anyway, wow. So big points there. we aren't done yet with our review. We have a few bits of feedback, which just pulling up now.
Well, we got a cross from Facebook and Facebook and our Facebook group.
Facebook. So Connor, let's just alternate here. Why don't you kick us off here?
Yeah, the lovely Midkind. We were talking about him before. Talking about Daredevil. Now he's here to drop some thoughts on issue 6. He says, "This issue was a great way to wrap things up for this run. I never expected Ellis would use a background character from issue 1 and make him obsessed with Moonlee. Also, it was a very clever way to bring in cameos of Marlene and Frenchie. I have this headcanon that Beatrice was already existing by the time Black Spectre Jr. found her. Fair, maybe? Timelines?
Yeah.
Well, it continues with, but what really makes it a memorable issue for me was the last scenes. It elevated Mark's coolness exponentially, like, damn, son. Most people are struggling about for love and affection. You just shrug it away, damn. Anyway, that dialogue is one of the most memorable parts of this run, along with punching goes, brain mushroom dreams, and kicking 5 floors worth of ass."
Oh, yeah, thank you, Midkind. That is, fantastic. And, of course, his references there to all the other great issues of Warren Ellis. You're going to have to help me out here, Connor. I didn't quite understand his reference about Beatrice already existing by the time Black Spectre Jr. found her. Was Black Spectre... Was he in the Bemis run? I've forgotten.
I think he was just pointing out that, the way timeline works, you'd have to think that Beatrice, because, she was already... she was speaking. She was...
Yeah, true.
I can't remember what she had been, 8?
Yeah,
in
something like
Bemis run, so she probably would have actually been already been born here.
Right.
Young.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But no, thank you, Midkind. That's great. And of course, Marlene and Frenchie, it's good to have them. We didn't see much of the supporting cast in the Warren Ellis run. I'm just quickly scanning my brain. Jenna's Diner, don't think we saw. Crawley, I don't think we saw. So it was good to see Marlene and Frenchie. And my favourite, Samuels. He didn't make an appearance. He should have. Anyway, we have another bit of feedback from Noel, our loony mate Noel, and he says, "My personal least favourite issue of all the Ellis Shalvey run, but still a pretty great issue regardless. Love the callback to a prior Mooney rogue as well as his former associates and the overall pacing of the issue. They get the backstory of Trent's trauma, motivations and slow descent in a compelling and quick way. Absolutely agree. Not much action, but when it hits, it explodes. Pun intended. Very weird wrap up to the issue, which is on par for every issue of their run and something I quite enjoy. I love the way Ellis characterises Moon Knight's speech in an almost poetic and surely nihilistic way. I think other issues in this run are a bit more unique, and I wish there was a slightly better issue to cap off the run, but once again, very cinematic comic by Ellis, Shalvey and Bellaire." Yes, Noel, yeah, for sure. So he went kind of down a different route there, kind of not his absolute favourite, but he still recognised it as a good issue.
Yeah, well, I think it totally how much this rings with you. I love this issue for it to look at, Mark's psyche. I guess, whether that does work with the other 5 issues, so standalone is an interesting point. Yeah, it's got to be how much, those words, it's obviously such a great issue. You just have to look at the art to tell that. But yeah, I guess it's how much those final words of the issue really ring with you that I think is what makes this issue stick with you, comparing Noel and Midkind. Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. I think I do agree, Noel, as you're saying, it's a really weird way to end the whole run. But having said that, and what Midkind said as well, that the last kind of bit of monologue from Mr. Knight was just a ripper, I thought. It was really, really good. And the thing about never wanting to be loved, and everyone that loves him or he loves, it all tends to turn to shit, so he just doesn't want to be loved. It's really, really kind of heavy stuff. But it shows his disconnect with everyone, and it still rings true to, obviously, the Houston run, where Marlene, Frenchie, all of them were so angry with him because he cut everyone off. We find, of course, that was due to some of the committee and the profile kind of working Mark around that. But I think, in essence, that's what Moon Knight is. He really is a lone wolf, and it's him constantly pushing against his friends. And it's their strength, actually, to stick with him. I think that is just admirable.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's got to be one hell of a guy for them to come back.
Yeah, exactly. Either that, or I don't know what they're doing if he's a bit of a dick. But anyway, yeah. Next one there.
Oh, yes. Sorry, yeah. The power of Chad dropping in with an, I'm assuming, powerful take that says this seemed less like a tale about Moon Knight and more of a pulp delivery of Mr. Knight's trait. His endless blood money, squatting up as a solo act, and his complete disregard for this waning, whining imposter. This was an amusing act, but had no substance. There were a lot of things that added character to this issue, from the ghost punks headlining to the fiery bravado of our bloodthirsty Avenger. Marlene was taking no shit, and Jean-Paul stonewalled the fledgling threat. It was a fun jaunt, nothing that would staple an ongoing series. Interesting, and very well written, I might add. That was a ripper.
Yeah. I mean, he's not wrong as well, the power of Chad. It's but much of that could be said of all of Warren Ellis's issues. There's nothing really that, apart from, I guess, the introduction of Mr. Knight as the character, what goes on in each of the one-offs, they're so self-contained that there are no real kind of ripples or ramifications for them that I can think of. I mean, if you look at the next run, which was Lemire and then Bemis, no one really took any of what's happened in, Bunn or Wood as well. And no one's really taken on board anything, what Warren Ellis had done. It's so standalone. If I get that wrong, Loonies, please write in and let us know. But I'm assuming, I can't think of anything that really ties into Warren Ellis.
I think, like I said, I think it's kind of similar to what, Noel was saying as well, that, at least in these previous issues, there was like all this high detective work, powerful action, and when it's, drawing back to, focus on the specific type of psyche, once again, how does that resonate with you, and how do you think it works in telling a story is, how you feel about it. Like, I definitely could totally see something spinning out of this. I could see this run continuing from this point, but if that idea doesn't ring so true, then, it kind of just falls flat on itself as like, a waning out full stop.
Yeah.
Crazy big run, so...
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely like to see, obviously, I think we were talking about Marvel Comics Presents, who'd like to see write before we knew it was Benjamin Percy, and a lot of people said, Warren Ellis, bring him back. I mean, for sure. I mean, within a heartbeat, would love to have him back. But yeah, I agree with the power of Chad here. It doesn't... what does he say? It's a fun jaunt, but nothing that would staple an ongoing series, So they were six very well told fun stories. I'd be interested to know, any loonies out there, I don't know if we've come across them, Connor, anyone out there who doesn't like the Warren Ellis run? I'd be really keen to hear your thoughts as to why, or, because obviously, and there's nothing wrong with it because it's all personal taste, but there seems to be just so much love for this run, which, rightly justified. But send us your thoughts if you thought otherwise. Finally, we have some feedback from our Facebook group from Josh Geronimo Johnson. He writes in and he says, I often think this issue gets overlooked, possibly due to the spectacularness of issue 5. Full on, absolutely. However, I must say it's a nice low-key finale for Ellis and Shalvey. Even like how the cover for this issue is pretty much the same as issue 1, just with Black Spectre colours. It's a nice way to bookend the run. Yeah, that's so clever. And far out. Good stuff, Josh, for picking that up. I did not pick that up at all. Speaking of which, Ryan Trent is a pretty good antagonist. To see a guy hounded his entire life and then become obsessive with a guy who he sees as the high bar is a good motivation. And I like seeing him do some detective work and tracking down Marlene and Frenchie, their only appearance in this whole run, researching Black Spectre and honing his skills. How ironic is it that he's undone by himself with his own bomb. I definitely enjoyed him as a one-shot villain. All that being said, fuck that guy. He blew up the limo. R.I.P. limo. Yes, yeah. Josh has an affinity to the Mooney limo. For those who don't know, check out his Isle of Ra sessions. I also like the Mooney's monologue over the last 2 pages. It's a good way to end the issue and the run. Good writing from Ellis and great art by Shalvey. Overall, a waxing gibbous from me.
Ooh, he's even using the sick.
Well done, Josh. Josh gets a few crescent darts there, like they're badges of honour. I'm not saying I'm throwing the crescent darts at you, Josh, but we'll pin a few crescent darts there for using the moon rating system. It's highly convoluted, but Josh has waded through the swamp that is our rating system. Well done, and the same one. So I wonder if he's doing 8 or 9 as well. I did a waxing gibbous as well. Fantastic points. And that book ending, Connor, did you pick that up at all? I did not at all.
Oh no, that's the fantastic loonies we got over at the Facebook group. You know, exactly. All these guys have been, except for Midkind. Got to get you on the show, man. All these guys have crashed on the show as well. It's fantastic. We're in the community, dropping in takes that even we don't see. So, big love to all these guys. That's anyone listen? Yeah, drop a line.
Exactly. Yeah, feel free. Also, I just love how Josh has spoken about. Yeah, he did. Black Spectre got undone by his own bomb, which is a massive epic fail. So I totally agree with you. But as Conishu mentioned, Loonies, yeah, for sure. Please drop us a line. We're more than happy to discuss your ideas and your thoughts. Look, you don't have to as well. We want to keep it kind of open. If you don't want it to be discussed on the show, we've got a little procedure there. Just put a little DNB at the end of your comment, and that will ensure that you don't get discussed. But if you do, we just love hearing and love throwing around these ideas. This is how we kind of all learn about Moon Knight and learn more of him, and it's just fantastic. So thank you everyone that wrote in. Really good stuff. All right, well, we might just quickly go to another break, but, we'll be right back for just our show wrap-up.
Hi, this is Dave.
And I'm Stu, and we're from the Signal of Doom.
We're proud members of the collective, and you're listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back. Just in time, calling our next phase a waxing gibbous. Dropped 3 times this episode. We're doing our big trade arc review.
Yeah.
Following on from our Midnight Man discussion, we're talking about his son. Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who would eventually become the sidekick Midnight, also known as Jeff Wild. We'll be dealing with his introduction and his death. Almost a full look at him by the his events in the Houston run.
Yeah, and so I think we'll cap it off with his, how should we call it, his first death, because he dies and comes back a couple of times. We picked some. There's a bit of reading here to do. We'll put it in the show notes, but basically it's coming out of Mark Spectre. So he makes an appearance issues 4, 5, 8, 10, 11, and then 15 to 21. Up to the point where he meets his end, and he disappears for a while before he resurfaces in Round Robin, which we saw in the Amazing Spider-Man arc. So this should be fun, Connor. Jeff Wild. It's funny. I don't know why he's not called Jeff Mogart, because as we know, Midnight Man, Anton Mogart. Maybe he's just picked a cooler name. Mogart's a bit dorky.
It's a bit old timey.
A bit old timey. Yeah. So, this should be good. I mean, look, there are a lot of issues there, Connor, but I guess we'll just discuss it, obviously as a whole.
It'll be my first tackling of this, character as originally was. I've only seen him in the Houston Benson run, so this will be something new.
Right. You haven't seen him in the Amazing Spider-Man, Round Robin?
No. I missed that episode, yeah.
Yeah, you did. No, that's a good one. You're going to have to... Well, you can read these first and read the other ones after. He does have a really cool arc, Jeff Wild Midnight. And yeah, you spot on. He has his first chapter in Mark Spectre Moon Knight. He has his second chapter in The Amazing Spider-Man. And the third one is in the Houston run, where he's a lot darker, a lot more grisly. But yeah, the first one's pretty fun. So anyway, Loonies, I think that pretty much wraps us up for this episode. Thank you so much for hanging with us and listening in on us talking about issue 6. Generally, you can find us on many things. So, as I mentioned, drop us a line on email at itkmoonknight@gmail.com. We have a website, intothenightpodcast.wordpress.com. As mentioned earlier, we're on Facebook. We have a page and a group. So, facebook.com/itkmoonknight. That's the page. That's more of our, I guess, formal official page, and our group is facebook.com/group/itkmoonknight, which is a bit more informal, a lot of interaction with loonies there. It's a fantastic place. Please come join us. We're also on Twitter at itkmoonknight, very easy to remember, as well as Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube. Just search for Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast, and you should be able to find us. Finally, we're on, if you could please, actually, just give us a rating. That would be really cool on iTunes. If you like what you hear, if you have feedback, or just let us know. We really love to improve the show. And by leaving a review will allow us to cast a larger net in the podcasting realm. So for other loonies or other Moon Knight fans to find us. And and absolutely last, we're on all good podcast catchers, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, all that jazz. We're all firing. Episode 84, Connor. We're climbing up there.
Oh yeah, we're gonna 100 this year.
Yeah, we'll have 100 this year. A big congratulations to the Signal of Doom, who this this weekend they reached their century. So they can tip of the hat there, and a raising of the bat. Well done, guys. Cricketing reference for them. Any other last words, Connor?
Thanks for listening, and don't try to become Black Spectre or Moon Knight. It's just not good for your health.
Exactly. And I think I'll cap us off with may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. I'll catch you later.
Bye.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.